All right, we're here again in Sanliurfa with Jennifer Grossman. She's a faculty associate in the School of Letters and Sciences. She teaches Religion 321, and she also happens to be my wife. All right, with that, we were just concluding about a week here in southeastern Turkey, and she's sharing her experiences. All right, we concluded our last discussion with a kind of an identification of what students in Religion 321 can learn from you. And I want to go back to one point, and that is to say, based on what you're talking about, it would seem as if religion functions differently than it does in American society. Instead of having one religion in our communities, we have a number. Can you talk about some of the similarities and differences between how people acknowledged faith in ancient times, how they do it now, today in America?
Okay, let's start with how things were long ago. As humans developed, as they evolved from nomadic peoples coming out of Africa, branching off to the various parts of the world. And as these hunter-gatherers settled down, they formed themselves into tribes. So tribal thinking and tribal living is a very early, very basic and primitive part of human development. However, when humans evolve, they don't lose their basic essence, their basic makeup as humans. So even though we are perhaps hundreds of thousands of years away from our first mother and father on Earth, the first most human parents that we had, even though we're thousands of years away, we're still basically made up in a similar way to those early humans who desired very much for protection, identity, and community. As hunter-gatherers settled down, they tended to settle within families and people that are similar to them. They might have put a fortification around their community, but they were still tribes. They were still people who were similar. And as religions developed, they tended to have the same religion within a tribe. So by the time we got to pagan religion in the Greek and Roman eras, there were thousands of gods, and the god that you worshipped tended to identify you, meaning you had lots of enemies and very few people that were like you. Even though you lived in a society made up of humans, you tended to identify with the people that worshiped the same god you did. So Abraham's huge innovation, even though it was around prior to his idea, his huge idea was one God that unites many, many, many tribes. And of course, in the beginning, the tribe that he was part of was the Hebrew tribe, and his descendants became the Hebrews, the Jews, and also the Arabs. And so the tribes, and in fact, right away, you have two tribes. You have the descendants of Ishmael, who are the Arabs, and you have the descendants of Isaac, who are the more Western cultures, the Christian that eventually became Christians and the Western side of the world. Okay, so the idea of tribes is still with us, even though we now live in America that has thousands of tribes. We still have a desire for protection, security, and community. And so, when I go to the Baptist church and I hear ideas that my parents taught me, or when I go to the Episcopal church and I hear ideas that my own parents taught me, I feel a sense of security, identity, community. And I might form my social life around that religion. And it feels comfortable, it feels familiar, and so my tribal motivation is still there, and I do it through this small religion. Perhaps I'm in a tribe that I don't feel comfortable in. perhaps I am a Methodist, and I have very liberal ideas, and I don't feel comfortable with my tribe. I don't feel comfortable with the ideas that my parents taught me. And then I go to a Unitarian church, and I say, this is more like I am. So now we have people being able to move from tribe to tribe, religion to religion. And if you live in a free society where that is allowed, like America, you're going to reinvent yourself as you discover who you are.
Let me follow up on that a little bit. Now, certainly in the environments that we've looked at this week, indeed, the religious institutions define the tribe. But what if one of the members in those ancient times decided this wasn't his or her tribe? Certainly the options were rather limited. They would either be exiled or killed. It's not that way in American society, but you're suggesting that it almost functions the same way.
I'm suggesting it functions very much the same way. For instance, if you lived in Iran, or Iraq, and you decided you were no longer a Sunni, you could be exiled or killed by your own people. If you were say a Sunni woman, and you decided that you weren't going to follow tradition, you most certainly could be killed by your own family, because that tribal tradition is so strong, and the overlay of authority in those societies says you are not allowed to change your identity. You are not allowed to find a tribe that is more comfortable in their ideas and in your ideas.
All right, but if I'm in the Phoenix metropolitan area and I'm a Methodist and I decide that's not my tribe anymore, I want to go to the Unitarians, nobody kills me.
Nobody kills you, because we live in a free society. Our First Amendment guarantees that we have freedom of religion. We are not Saudis who insist that everybody in that society be Muslim.
Right.
And if you become an apostate, if you even say there might not be a God, you can be killed in a very public way as a warning to others. Apostasy is a crime.
So it sounds as if in American society it functions very differently. It's a question of shopping, maybe.
Yes, you can shop for a tribe in America.
All right.
Whereas in other countries, in authoritarian countries, you may not shop for a tribe. You are born into a tribe.
So do we have the same kind of exile function?
We do in certain communities. The Mormon community is very famous in Salt Lake. If you are an apostate and you're a business person, the Mormons in your community may no longer patronize your business.
Yeah.
And you may very well go bankrupt. So the exile from the Mormon community is very real in certain areas, because the Mormon faith is a very authoritarian religion, as opposed to, say, Unitarians that are very lax in their authority structure.
Right. So what we're talking about in American society is, you might say, a postmodern kind of exile or death. It's not a
death.
It's not a physical death.
No,
it's a social death.
Although in polygamous societies, it has been shown that certain people have been killed for becoming apostates.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
yes, you could still have that same structure, but it would only be within very cultic and very small religions, like the Mormon religion, or the fundamentalist Mormons, more to the point, would be likely to kill or very much shun and reject a member that no longer believed in the fundamentalist faith.
Okay, we have only a few more seconds because the battery is flashing at me, and I want to get at one final point, and that is we have seen basically temples built on top of temples. Certainly structures built on top of structures is kind of a metaphor. Religion through time has built upon one, upon the other, each believing or at least positing that it is the true one. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think believing that you're part of the true community makes you stronger in your identity. And so many tribes believe they are and true tribe.
Beautiful.
And so your security would be more,
Yeah.
your identity would be stronger, and your
Beautiful.
security would be insured.
All right. I think we're just about to get cut off. Thank you very much once again. We'll carry this on.